There is no hope. The war in Syria is here. It got held up in social media traffic. We thought the angry hashtags had permanently ceased death from above for the Syrian people. For a moment, the internet rejoiced in its seemingly overwhelming power to harness the American people's voice. We were sick of war, sick of decent people being turned into killing machines and amputees. There was no need to go to Syria, no impending doom. Apparently, Americans had wised up in the past decade and weren't going to accept another bloody quagmire. Well, so much for that. The war in Iraq, supported by a majority of Americans at its dawn, was not enough to teach us. And why would we expect it to be? 50,000 American soldiers and countless millions slaughtered in Vietnam wasn't enough. The near extermination of the Japanese, the destruction of most of Germany's cities, the piles and piles of bodies, and all the wasted potential of a so-called greatest generation wasn't enough. It will never be enough. There is no hope. There is no progress the American government or any state can make away from the inevitability of mass slaughter. The lines at military recruiting booths will continue. Your protesting will not eliminate them. Your pleas will not stop your friends from making the decision to kill for what they see as the greatest good. And when your friend comes back a husk of a human being, when the memories of Syrian, Iraqi, Somalian, Yemeni, Pakistani victims haunt him, when he reaches for his legs and finds only air, he will imagine it was all worth it, and there will be nurses and psychologists to assure him it was. The war culture is all-enveloping, and there is no end. The American resolve against war does not exist beyond an internet fad, entirely obliterated with effective propaganda and fear-mongering. We are a nation of dunces, suckers, cads, cowards, and killers. The world will bear most of the consequences for our idiocy. The people of the Middle East are not so easily led on. They know that war is all there is. They live with drones dotting their skies and murderers posing as peacekeepers occupying their streets. They know there is no hope, no expectation that America will ever do the right thing. Their children will die. Their parents will die. Their homes will be turned to ash, and they will only grieve for a moment, because to wish any of it hadn't happened is to embrace cartoon fantasy. There will always be a threat or a threat of a threat which will sell the American hypocrisy into sycophantic worship of the capability of our military to make all right in the world. Americans crave protection, or the illusion of it. In truth, there is no protection. 9/11 was not a fluke carried out by madmen. Nothing will save us from those who have every reason for bloodthirst. They have nothing but their vengeance to guide them against the monstrous robotic nation which slaughters their countrymen and keeps them bound to a life of poverty and desperation. You will not swat them all away. We are not safe. In fact, with the announcement of this newest edition of the war on brown people, we are less safe than ever. But who needs true protection when all are assured that the state will continue to cradle them and make it all better? The Americans are coming, stupider and more sure of themselves than ever. Will we beat our former high score of 1 million deaths? There is always hope for war. War is easy and resistance is futile. None of it will end until borders end, and good luck with that. Good luck dismantling the military-industrial complex. If it crumbles, it will merely be reassembled to guarantee another century of death for the weak. There are no consequences for these campaigns of murder, no voice to condemn the soldiers or protect them from the scavenger recruiters. We will be duped again and again and again, the next time a president declares his steadfastness against perpetual war, the next time you hear media outlets praising the anti-war resolve of the American people, do what I do and laugh. Don't weep. Your tears accomplish nothing. Enjoy the ride, because there is no exit in sight. What would it be like if everyone loved everyone else? 10 out of 10 people agree it would be pretty fucking great. Unfortunately, we are all at this point human. Our capacities to embrace each and every individual as a truly beautiful and unique creature are far beyond us. We also exist within social structures which embrace the potent power of hate, separation, and collectivism. In these shackles, individuals are not particular or meaningful entities. We exist only for the ends of some institution, some vague and old superstition about the horrible others. While we might never have good reason to love everyone, society ensures we will hate the other, whoever it decrees qualifies. The most potent force to tear down these walls which entrap us is not counter-economics, propaganda by the deed, networks of solidarity, or any other organizational structure. The sledgehammer to wield, to swing maddeningly, to obliterate the prisons our minds persist in is love. Radical circles must be full of lovers, wild lovers, those who love without shame or fear or consideration to rules and norms. It takes lovers whose only permanent object of hate is the walls that separate them, limit their love, chain their ecstasy, deny them their absolute right to be in love with any and all aspects of the world around them. We hate too often. There is no shortage of things to hate for an anarchist, but we must never allow our hate to become a defining feature of our individual insurrections and revolutionary rhetoric. Hate can help us identify the enemy, but it can never destroy them. Hate will not empty the prisons, it will not burn down the corporate office space, it will not melt down the machinery of the military-industrial complex. If we are filled with hate, we will only accomplish the destruction of our current system for another system of walls. Because what is oppression but hatred for freedom? It is raw fear, terror, and misery which ensnare us all in some way. It is the true fuel of military conquest, racism, xenophobia, and sexism. Without hate, systems have no way of imposing themselves upon us. We must embrace love for ourselves first. Love for yourself is not tawdry egotism or self-obsession. It is recognition of all that makes you great, of which I assure you there is an everlasting supply. Love for ourselves will allow us to more accurately discern the goodness in others, to easily identify those characteristics in line with our passions. Love is not solidarity. Solidarity is nothing more than loyalty to the cause of a group. It isn't love. I am told often why I should have solidarity with this group or that, despite any personal connection with those involved, despite my judgment on the rightness of their actions. It is not love, because love is not loyal. Love is infatuated. It is dedicated. It will not merely speak a word of agreement and obedience with the cause. Lovers do not require obedience. What would you not do for those you love? Do you have to be put in line and told what to love? No, we do not need that kind of dedication to our fellows. We need angered, impassioned, unstoppable individuals guided by their connection with those around them, with those who have shown us that they are worth us fighting for and alongside. How many of our friends exist behind concrete walls and barbed wire fences? The influence of love in our lives has not even truly begun until we recognize that every person is deserving of love by someone, that they are not to be treated as inherently vicious creatures who must be stamped out. You cannot have love without recognizing the dignity of those you may never know or have a reason to embrace in passionate mutual exchange of the best in one another. Some people may not be deserving of your love, but they are deserving of freedom. For they too are lovers, whoever they are. We all know what it is to be infatuated, and there will always be others to share our infatuation with. But love is also random. One does not truly know when we will be gifted with another to embrace, or why we should embrace them so. Until all are free, our love is necessarily limited, and so our ability to truly control and live our lives to the fullest and most ferociously joyous is cut down before us. Love is not all we need. In fact, it can't be. To love is to love for something. We must fill our lives up with reasons to love and build new institutions which allow us to discover ourselves and one another. This is no small task, and it will unfortunately not come as easy as our passions arise. All the more necessity for lovers, for those that will fight for a world that they can embrace with total freedom of action and conscience. We will need books, guns, fire, strategy, markets, and so many other things to do away with our oppression, which is the oppression of not just you or I, but of every living, sentient, complex individual currently living in chains. Hate. Hate the walls around you. Hate every bit of mental furnishing put there to bind you. Hate, so that you can love in full. Love, so that we might do away with need for undue hate. That was The Anarchist as Lover. Both of the articles heard on this episode of Feed 44 were by Ryan Calhoun. Read by Trevor Hutlner. For Feed 44, a project of the Center for a Stateless Society. Find more at c4ss.org.